Good evening, class. My name's Luke, and I am here in beautiful Encinitas, California at, D Street. There's a staircase right there. Got a little flashlight here just to guide my way through the night. Down south there's Swami's, a little bit north is Moonlight. It's a beautiful Encinitas evening. So, this evening I want to discuss with you guys my term paper topic of soil erosion on coastlines and its detrimental effects to humanity. So, let's begin. Now, make no mistake, here's a big wave. My feet might get wet right here. Soil erosion on coastline is not an unnatural process. In fact, it's kind of needed for many ecosystems to survive, and also it's just the way it's been happening forever on coastlines that have, coastlines with a, functioning ocean with tide and surf. So, what will happen is in periods of high surf and extreme current, like we have here in the northern hemisphere in our wintertime with our big northwestern swells that come in, what will happen is our beaches, as you see, kind of get stripped of a lot of our sand supply, exposing a lot of rock, old reefs, old construction projects, and also it starts to expose the bottom of the coast as well. That's a very natural process. And typically in summertime, what we have happen is we get a replenishment of sand, recently via a lot of human operations like dredging and trucking in of sand and whatnot, but also in summertime with our smaller surf, what we'll have happen is kind of the gentle lapping motion of the surf will bring in a lot of sediment and kind of replenish and refurbish our beaches with a lot of sand. Now, humans have interrupted the natural cycles which beaches rely on for sand replenishment in a few ways. Now, one of which would be the construction of and employment of dams upriver. Now, this affects our beaches by kind of constricting the flow of water to the beach out through an alluvial fan or delta. And not only does it constrict the water, we don't care about the water, we already have plenty of this right there, but what we care about is the sediments and sand and soil which the water carries from inshore. Now, one of the reasons why the human construction of dams is responsible for this is because of the way dams choke our water supply. Now, what will happen is a dam will be constructed upstream in the river, and it blocks off a ton of the water and creates a reservoir beneath it. And the amount of water flowing through the dam is nowhere close to the amount that is needed to replenish the beaches with sand the way they had been, developed. And as a result of this, we have a decrease in the size of our beaches. Now, one of the things that is kind of, I would dare to say, is harmful to that is not only do we have a decrease in our beach, but the beach was already an erodible structure of, sand, rocks, and other soil particles. That was already kind of meant to be eroded away, but it was cool because it was going to be replenished already just a few months later. However, with that natural replenishment from rivers, we don't really have that anymore, resulting in a decrease in the size of our beaches. Now, this is kind of a problem because as we have this first line defense buffer zone destroyed and, decreased in size, that then opens door number 2 to have this whole area really, affected in a negative way. So as we have right here, we have our beautiful, just kind of California sandstone cliffs. They're very common in not only other parts of California, but other parts of the world. Now, nothing too special. It's a pretty, just like, loosely held together, massive sedimentary rock that's very easily erodible. And because of how more and more sand is being taken away from the beach and it covers it, it's being eroded faster than it's meant to kind of keep up with its own replenishment or fortification. So I'm going to demonstrate what I mean by how easy it is for it to erode. So I'm going to grab one of my early man tools right here, this rock right here. Well, all right, so I have a rock right here. I'm going to pick any little bit of cliff to kind of pretend to be erosion. I'm going to play the bad guy. I'm going to be harmful erosion. So here's my rock. Here's my bit of cliff with a little bit of force. I'm not a strong person by any means. I'm going to show you what just a little bit of force can do to a cliff like we have here in Encinitas. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as we see, goodbye rock. So as we see right here, it's hard to on the camera, but I've chipped off a solid 1/4 to 1/2 inch of material from the cliff. Now, what does that tell us? That little experiment there tells the horticulturist, or myself, or you guys, my fellow horticulturists, that if a few little strikes of a rock over the course of less than 10 seconds can remove as much as a 1/4 inch of material, in 1 week of salt water pounding against said cliff during bits of high tide and high surf, that leaves us to wonder about the volume of material that's removed from the cliff in total through like 1 year or a couple years. And if you guys have been native to an area or been observing an area for some time and noticing how the bluffs are retreating, it's because they are. So, like I mentioned, because the soil, the sand in front of the cliffs isn't being replenished the way it needs to be, what can happen is that as the soil gets kind of ripped away, it exposes more and more and more of the cliff. And without the sand coming back in to make that protective wall against the cliff, and instead of eroding away the sand that's meant to be eroded away, the water's coming up and eating away at the cliff. And this causes many problems. Some of the problems that it causes is obviously the retreat of the coastline. And this is a very, very, very big issue. The retreat of the coastline is a very, very big issue. So, I'm going to show, and again, another little experiment, more of a control observation. I'm going to show you how it can be very, very devastating. So right here, as I told you, the sand underneath the cliffs kind of gets disturbed and brought away in amounts that are faster than it's able to be replenished. So, a great example, see right here, a lot of this cliff is kind of being unearthed and brought to light. And above it, we see a funny little pattern. So what we have going on here is we have the stuff and matter being exposed to the bottom because of the water and the sand leaving. And as we go up, we see the cliff being eroded away. But the thing is, the water only goes so high so that it erodes just this section under the cliff, but it's not able to touch the stuff up here. Okay, so that could make one think about that. Okay, that's great. It's not really going to hurt not going to hurt all of it. It shouldn't eat it away at the bottom. But after several months, years, or however many increments of time to the cliff, that can have many bad effects. A painful secondhand account that I'm sure we all are somewhat aware of is I believe about a year to a few months ago, unfortunately, there was a family that was killed by a large mass of the sandstone collapsing from up higher on the cliff and just falling down right onto them. Now, not only is this horribly sad and should kind of invoke grief in all of us, for our community members, it's not without a greater message as well. Due to the removal of sand on the coastline and the increase of erosion of our cliffs, we're going to start to see things like that more and more. For example, our community a little bit further south in Del Mar, those sandstone cliffs experience a few large rock slides, almost monthly, definitely several times a year. And not only do people get hurt, but that also, like the one in Encinitas, it's not only causing a hazard for people, but on top of many of these cliffs, we have a lot of homes and dwellings and businesses that are built because of the beautiful location. However, that beautiful location is not all self-sustaining and it's not going to stay there forever. The ocean's going to eat it away and it's going to be gone forever one day. thank you so much for watching my little ramble on about soil erosion on the coastline. To wrap up again, here are the main points I want to discuss. Soil erosion is a natural process. However, due to human intervention in natural processes needed to make it sustainable, like the constructions of dams, which cut off, sand replenishments to the beach, our beaches are reducing. A lot of beaches around the world reduce in size, and when the beaches reduce in size and are not getting their needed replenishment of sand, after the beach is eaten away and eroded away, the next thing to go would be a structure like the cliff, or a home, or a rock formation, or anything like that, and eventually the sea will take that over and not only create for dangerous conditions, but also it will result in the destruction of property, the loss of property, and or bodily injury, harm, and even death. So it's very, very important that we try our best to mitigate erosion any way we can. Please refrain from treading on bluffs, because each little footstep you take displaces a little bit of sediment, and little by little, as true with every other thing in the world, there is a lot of erosion that can go down, and it can happen at alarming rates that are not easily reparable by us. Here's a little bit of erosion coming our way. I'm going to step on the bluffs to see. There's me doing a little bit of erosion right there. See, it's crazy stuff. Yeah. In an attempt to do our little part, please refrain from treading on bluffs. If you work in any kind of industry that handles coastal erosion or dredging or whatnot, you know what you're doing. I don't. I'm a community college student. Yeah, we should all be aware of the reasons why our coastlines are eroding. We should all try to do whatever little part is that we can in order to prevent it and or mitigate it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good night or a good day. Bye-bye.